Throughout history, trains have traversed the Earth to reach their final destinations. Throughout history, trains have traversed the Earth to reach their destinations. Most trains successfully arrive. Some, unfortunately, never reach their destinations. Sabotage, poor judgment, explosions, and catastrophic derailments. Sometimes the fear of those on board and bystanders who watch on in horror of those events can still be felt years, decades, centuries later. The rails hold the stories of those lost and afraid. Then they reveal the stories to those who look within the rails. So climb aboard the train and get ready for a scary ride through the wreckage of history. I am the Pacific Limited, and this is Fear by Rail, the Hurricane Mystery. The date is June 1st, 1958, Dallas, Texas. It was a very sunny and cool, calm morning in the MKT North Texas yard. That day the yard was practically empty aside from MKT 51, a small switcher, doing yard work and building the 617's train bound for Galveston, Texas. The train consisted of MKT 617 and Southern Pacific Railroad 6441 and a small string of boxcars along with a red caboose. The engineer was 50-year-old Jacob Tex Johnson and fireman 47-year-old Mike Bridge Adams. At 8:15 a.m., 617 and its consists leave gracefully for Galveston. Once out of the yard, the engineer opens the throttle and 617 presses on. 30 minutes later, the train slows down to 40 miles per hour, 64 kilometers per hour. Because this area is full of blind, sharp, and dangerous curves, for some reason without signals. Then, once in Waco, the train stops to pick up some empty boxcars from a local business. At 9 a.m. the train leaves again and shouldn't have to stop again until Houston. Or so it was thought. 3:45 p.m. 617 is stopped at a mysterious red signal in Sealy, Texas. The duo were quite confused when Tex and Bridge noticed it got darker and rainy. They thought nothing of it due to the weather of the season, and they probably thought the signal was just a mistake. Then the signal changed to proceed as they press on to Houston. At 4:30 p.m. the inevitable became horrifying. The storm became way, way worse. The wind got way, way stronger, and the rain poured way, way harder, and it got darker than the night. The storm became a hurricane of sorts, and to make matters worse, the visibility became zero. And due to a lack of communication, the 617 had no way of knowing there was an oncoming special being pulled by ATSF Unit 316, which was going twice 617 speed. On a single-track main line with no idea of the other train's existence, both trains were blind of the other's location. 617 came around a bend and saw the headlight of the other train and held down the whistle in hopes of warning the oncoming train, but it was too late. A loud crash, a whoosh of steam escaping the boiler, the sound of metal scraping and bending, people screaming, a loud bang. The inevitable had happened. At approximately 4:31:08 p.m., June 1st, 1958, both trains collided at 70 mile an hour, 112 km per hour collective speed. Fortunately, both crews in the cabs did not survive. The passengers were mostly injured, but thankfully none of them lost their lives. But the strange part was, there was no hurricane reported nearby at all. So before we move on, if you need something to drink, get some snacks, get comfortable, go ahead and get them now. Pause here, and if not, we'll press on. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am recording it. Let's go. The investigation. In the following days after the accident, a major full-scale investigation was conducted to figure out what went wrong. First thing the investigators tried to figure out was the mysterious missing hurricane. Nobody saw or remembered the hurricane. There was no water anywhere. There was no damage to the limbs or anything. And this was confusing. The second thing they tried to figure out was, where was there any damage, if there was any? Where would they look? No physical damage was found anywhere. The grass near the wreck seemed untouched, the ballast perfect condition. Then it hit them. When they tried to call back the person to write a report, the number hadn't been in service for years. Then the detective noticed a memorial that said, "At this location on June 1st, 1948, 2 trains collided at this location during the worst hurricane in the area's history." This shocked the detective and gave him chills to the bone. It turned out no train was supposed to run that day because the work special was working that day. Down the line as well. So they decided to ask the workers if they saw the mysterious crash or a hurricane. All the workers said, "No, we saw nothing. We didn't notice any rain or anything." The wreck of the MKT 617 and ATSF 316 was even more mysterious than before. This incident still haunts the investigators to this day. 10 years earlier, the investigators worked tirelessly through the storm to find out just what went wrong. One of the signals showed something terrifying. Both signals glowed bright green in the rain, but one of them kept flashing back and forth between red and green because of a short circuit. That moment, the investigators knew exactly what happened. The passenger train only saw the signal when it said proceed, not when it said to stop. This was a sad realization for the investigators to make, and it still haunted them 10 years later. But through the sorrow and hardships, there was a major positive. The wreck did not seal the fate of any of the pieces involved. The 617 was rebuilt as Houston Galveston Central 282 Steam Locomotive 4301 and painted in Chesapeake, Ohio livery. ATSF 316 was rebuilt as HGC SD45 1900. The Southern Pacific Railroad 6441 was saved from scrap and given its original paint. Passenger cars were bought by the HGC and rebuilt and renovated to ATSF, Southern Pacific Railroad, and Southern Railroad, and many other roads, coaches. That train had a sad past, but had been revived to the beautiful train that is now called the Pacific Limited. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, this beginning of this series. I am going to be working tirelessly to make one, so I'll be able to post one maybe once a month, but I do not know for sure currently. I have had a lot of fun writing this and doing a lot of the photo shoots for it. So I hope you have enjoyed. This is Fear by Ray. Bye guys.